Hey guys, welcome to another video, and today we're back in the forest, this awesome survival game, and today I want to look at tips for building your base. So, let's get started. Tip 1. When defending against cannibals, stone walls and stick walls are very good options. This is because for some reason they really struggle to break these down. They do some damage to them, but largely they're pretty good defensively. So I start with these. I never use the log walls, and that's because for some reason the cannibals aggro towards log structures, and they will seek those out and destroy those first. With these stone walls and the stick walls, they seem to have more of a problem with these, and it takes longer for them to break them down, if at all. Tip 2. So bearing that in mind, stone and stick, I like to have the stone walls on the internal defences, and then the stick walls on the second line of defence, so that when the cannibals try and attack, I can shoot through this fencing. It makes it much easier to kill them rather than having to get above, because you can't see obviously through these stone walls. So I start with stone and then go to stick, and then sometimes I'll build a perimeter wall of stone further around so that I create more of a safe area after the sticks. Now you can't completely escape cannibals spawning into areas, but it rarely happens once you've got lots of structures up. Tip 3. When exiting these areas, I tend to have structures like these stones next to them, or steps such as these, up to the fencing, so that there isn't actually an entrance, because, as I previously mentioned, cannibals will be drawn to doorways, because you have to build them with the larger logs. So they'll come and destroy the doorways pretty quickly, and they might even do it when you're not even at the base. So I use ways of jumping over these fences rather than having a doorway. And in that sense, if we have a complete perimeter of fencing around your base. Tip 4. For the stone entrance, rather than creating something to jump, so like a ledge to jump over this stone wall, what I do is I create a tunnel around the inside of the wall, and it's a little passageway. Now it's got a very narrow entrance. What I find often is that the cannibals cannot get into this entrance. It just isn't part of their pathway, and even if they do, they struggle. You just go in and kill them. So this type of entrance I find very effective to prevent cannibals from getting into the main area of the base. Tip 5. I always like to build one of my bases near the back of the plane, because in here we have a range of resources: food, medicine, cans, alcohol, and they spawn every time you come back into the game, even on hardcore mode that we're on at the moment. And it's just a really handy resource. It's kind of like you come in, once you've saved the game, eat some food, load up your cans, and then just get on with what you need to do. Tip 6. I really like using zip lines. Now, there's a couple of reasons for that. The first one is, a base like this is very difficult to defend against mutants. But if you're playing hardcore especially, you might end up with 3 or 4 mutants coming at you at one time, and they will generally destroy your walls. Now, that's a complete bummer, because it takes ages to build these walls. So what I do is I do a quick escape, and I then will be in a position where I can lure them away and they do minimal damage. Okay. So they'll be out here, I give them get the bow out, shoot them, and then I can lure them away. They'll attack me out here. It won't destroy my base. But also, they're handy if you're being attacked by cannibals, not mutants, where you can get back into your base very quickly. And once back in your base, you can fire down at the cannibals and kill them, and that's a pretty effective way. And also, they cover great distances. If you build some long ones, they'll shorten your route, and it's much quicker. Tip 7. When I'm building a base, I always like to think about how close the trees are. That's because cannibals can climb trees and then jump down into your base. Now, I've been clearing this area, and you can see over this side a bit further away. These ones over here are far too close, so I'm going to be cutting these down. Which brings me to another point. I like to have storage for logs and sticks and rocks quite close to my base. These then also add further protection to the walls. Also mean that I don't waste the logs as I'm cutting these trees down, because you will cut them down when you don't need them if you're thinking about defending yourself against climbing cannibals. Tip 8. Now if you build around the plain, all the debris is littered around. Now if you follow my plan of building like a little tunnel or funnel type entrance, what you can do is you can move furniture in front of these holes here, and it, if you see, it creates like a block. Now certain pieces are more effective, like chairs for example. The cannibals can obviously jump, but it adds another little layer of defense, and something that actually people don't really think about. Tip 9. So you can see I've got the plain here, and I've built a platform above it. The plain is giving me extra defense, somewhere I can hide, but I've actually got the platform over the top of it. So you probably think, well, how do you climb around inside if you've got all the struts and supports for that structure going through the plain? Well, what you can do is you can partially destroy certain sections of these walls, these wooden log supports. And what that means is you can then create little pathways through, basically, like that, even if it is a little bit awkward sometimes. So you can knock out struts without actually destroying the main structure. It allows you to get through. If you build a big custom platform, it's got lots of struts along the middle, you can knock some out and walk through them. What you've got to remember is not to fix it. You can see there's the hammer sign at the bottom of the screen there. If I fix it, those struts will then put back in place. And of course it does weaken it a little bit, but if you're clever and you've placed it within the walls and protection of the fences and the stone walls, then you will be fine. Tip 10. I actively try and clear areas. Now when I do that, I'm obviously trying to store or use all of the wood and sticks that I gather, but I want to be able to see out across the plain as the cannibals and mutants approach. On the same note, I'll also be listening for the mutants because they make some pretty loud noises. But the cannibals tend to be quite silent, and their shadowy figures will skirt across the horizon. If they're in the trees here, they'll climb those and jump into your area. So I always try to make a conscious effort to clear the areas and do it as quickly as I can, as long as I don't waste the resources. Okay, so bonus tip. Tip 11. How do you deal with mutants? If they're going to knock all these walls down, what do you do? Well, I find birthday traps are the best solution. You can see here I've got a platform, and around it I've laid out a whole series of birthday traps. They go all the way around the outside, and I've got a low wall here which I can jump over just about and reload the traps. So around each of these traps you've got a little peg which you need a stick for, and you can then reload the trap once they hit it. So you've got this like this arena where they're taking lots of damage from these traps, and you can fire your bow at them as they attack, or throw molotovs or whatever you fancy. Now the nice thing about these traps is they are really sturdy. They're really good against mutants, they're really good against cannibals. In fact, I think they're the best trap in game. You can, if you want, say over there in the trees you can set up some swing traps, but that can be quite tricky, especially against the rhino mutant who can just charge on through those types of traps. So this is my recommendation. Create yourself a little defensive zone away from your main base, close enough to lure the mutants onto these, and you can then fight the mutants as they appear, and you can then reload these traps. So guys, that's my video. Tips on building your base in the forest. I hope you found it useful. If you did, click the thumbs up. If you're not subbed already, it'd be awesome if you could. And guys, I'll see you in the next video. Take care.